Daniel discusses some of the systemic issues with the CPI. Certain hedonic adjustments may be valid, but they are underreporting health and housing expenses. She outlines some of the inflation and trade problems last year combined with the massive amounts of stimulus. Stimulus programs and extended unemployment benefits have resulted in the rising home prices, vehicle prices, and a considerable spike in revolving credit card debt. Daniel outlines possible negative effects of central bank digital currencies and why the Fed is reluctant due to dollar risk. Globally, there has been a slow move away from the dollar, but it's still the leading trade currency. She said that we are a very indebted country on every level, even though we are not nearly as indebted in the United States as we were in 2005 to 6. There are other countries that you could point to: Canada, Norway, Australia, where the household debt to income is much higher. American corporations have more leverage than they have ever had, and clearly our national debts pushing $30 trillion. If you look at the world through the prism solely of serving that debt, that's fine as long as your interest rates, the yields on bonds, are very low. If they start to rise in an overly indebted world, then the wheels start to fall off one by one. That is why it's so critical, and that's the reason we have been able to see this massive debt run up in recent years, is because the Fed has been able to orchestrate keeping bond yields near the zero bound for an extraordinarily long period of time. We can't even imagine that the consumer price index, the headline printed at 3% right now, that would be like the sky is falling. We can't imagine getting past that 2%, but yet we have, because of base effects, because in May of 2020, the year over year CPI headline printed at 0.1% year over year. So Daniel says that you don't need a big number at all to have a large number than what the Fed's official 2% target is. In addition to that, we have a supply chain disruption that is a continuation of one that began with the trade war years ago. It was exacerbated by a pandemic, but it was not catalyzed by a pandemic. So you have got to work that throughout the system. We have also had a major increase in shipping and free trades in many ways because so many countries have opened and reclosed and there are not enough containers out there. We are throwing all of the money in the world at US households. We have never, not in past war US history, have we ever pumped. Cornerstone Macro put it at $20.3 trillion of combined fiscal and monetary stimulus into the economy for non-productive means. This is just pure liquidity. Go out and spend it. So we have seen home prices completely go off the rails. We are seeing car prices higher than they have ever been. Then we saw a big, huge spike in revolving credit in the month of February. That was because on February, the third most Americans found out that they were getting their stimulus checks and they went out and charged spring break on the credit card, and so because they knew they were gonna be able to pay for it when they got the money in March, which they did. The prices are all going up at the same time, but supply chain distributions will be alleviated. There is no trade war on the other side of this. That aspect is cooling. We are going to see shipping container rates top out and start to roll over. We are starting to see evidence of demand in China, whether you are talking about iron ore or copper. You are starting to see some of the heat coming off of these industrial metals prices that have been seeing this huge rub. And there are no more stimulus checks for the United States. We haven't seen the last big jolt of spending. So it's going to get very uncomfortable for the Fed. Once we get past these massive base effects, we'll see the flip side of that when the country shut down completely last April. What we saw was this mass layoff of workers in leisure, hospitality, restaurant bars, low-paying industries. Millions and millions of them fell out of the workforce. That means that a year ago, the average hourly earnings were skewed extremely high, because you had the only kind of high-paid worker people who could work from home left in the workforce. If we didn't see an 0.4 to 0.5 average hourly earning print in April, we are going to see year over year print turn negative. So base effect work both ways. We are going to be seeing in inflation but also downside. There are some systemic issues with CPI. Two of the biggest items in their budget housing, healthcare, they are systematically underreported. Hedonic adjustments when it comes to certain products, certain goods are valid. We have seen what happens when there's even a rumor over the weekend that the US Treasury might be looking at Bitcoin, and then there's a ripple effect. So it takes any little thing to set off a chain of events. Leverage in the system at hedge funds is the highest it's ever been on record. There are other similar instances that are out there in the environment that you cannot prepare for as an investor because they are invisible. That's why they call it systemic risk. Stimulus checks are one on in the same if we are speaking about STEMI checks in perpetuity. But right now, it looks as if we can see the midterms in front of us. And we know that because the legislation that has been passed has been purely down partition lines. That's why we have checks, and there will be political blowback if there are two more bills that pass in fiscal year 2021 as per Daniel. The US government's fiscal year ends on September the 30, but if there are two more stimulus packages of any kind, legislative packages of any kind that are undertaken in calendar year 2021, the Senate parliamentarian recently agreed that could be the case. That would be the first time in US history that not two but three bills were passed via reconciliation, which means you only need the 50 votes in the Senate. That will enter into the political discourse, a level of divisiveness that is unlike anything we have seen in the past 4 years. It seems as if this administration needs to go and get some communication classes, because you can't have one tax headline after another continue to roll out. We know that the corporate income taxes are probably going to be rising. We have already seen insider selling go through the roof in recent weeks. So you don't want to have a cascading effect to where you have the smart money rushing the exits. When you look at the New Deal and public-private partnership, there are some seriously good things that we have done in US history that have produced gigantic economic returns. So as per Daniel, we have some very promising precedents in US history that could help propel the economy to the next generation of growth. Now, if you found this video really knowledgeable, then please press that like button, subscribe to this beautiful channel. I'll catch you up in my next video. Till then, have a great day.